English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now.
Hello, and welcome back to English Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Jack, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today.
Hi, everyone. It's Anna here, and I'm so excited for today's episode. We have something really special prepared for you.
You know, Anna, I've been thinking about this topic for a while now, and I really feel like it's going to be a game changer for our listeners.
Absolutely, Jack. This is one of those topics that can truly transform how learners perceive and understand native English speakers. And honestly, it's something that doesn't get enough attention in traditional English learning materials.
Before we dive in, I want to ask our listeners something. Have you ever watched an English movie or TV show and felt completely lost, even though you understood most of the words individually? Like, the individual words make sense, but when native speakers talk at normal speed, it all blurs together.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, Jack. I've been there myself when I was first learning English. It's so frustrating, right? You study vocabulary, you practice grammar, and then you turn on a Netflix show and suddenly it sounds like a completely different language.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, it's not that native speakers are speaking more English or better English. They're actually speaking differently. And once you understand this difference, everything changes.
So today, we're going to demystify one of the biggest secrets in English pronunciation, connected speech reductions. We'll focus specifically on those tricky outta and gotta sounds that confuse so many learners.
And we're going to do this in a way that's practical, easy to understand, and most importantly, useful for your everyday English. Sound good?
Sounds perfect. Let's get started.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. What exactly is connected speech, and why should you care about it?
Great question, Jack. Connected speech is basically how native speakers link words together when they talk. It's not that they're mumbling or being lazy, it's actually a natural feature of English pronunciation. When we speak at a normal pace, our mouth doesn't stop between every word. Instead, sounds blend, merge, and sometimes even disappear entirely.
That's such an important point, Anna. I think many learners feel discouraged when they can't understand native speakers, thinking they're doing something wrong. But the truth is, this is how English is supposed to sound. It's not broken, it's just connected.
Exactly. And here's what really fascinates me. Native English speakers aren't trying to be difficult or confusing. This is literally how our brains process language when we're speaking naturally. We're not thinking about pronunciation rules, we're just communicating.
You know, I remember when I first realized this. I was watching an American TV show, and I kept hearing this phrase that sounded like gonna. I looked it up and realized it was going to. And suddenly, so many other phrases started making sense.
Oh, that moment is so satisfying. It's like a light bulb going off. And today, we're going to give you more of those moments. We're going to teach you the secrets that will help you understand native speakers much better.
Now, here's something really important to understand. Native English isn't louder or smarter or more proper. It's actually calmer and more rhythmic. Think about it. When people speak quickly, they're not shouting or emphasizing every single syllable. They're flowing, connecting, and creating a rhythm.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Jack. And that rhythm is actually the key to sounding more natural. When you learn to embrace the connected nature of English, not only will you understand native speakers better, but you'll also start sounding more natural yourself.
So here's our challenge to you today. Don't think of these reductions as lazy or incorrect. Think of them as the natural rhythm of English. Once you make that mental shift, learning becomes so much easier.
I love that perspective, Jack. And now let's dive into the specific reductions that we're focusing on today. Let's start with everyone's favorite, gotta. Okay, let's talk about gotta. This is probably one of the most common reductions you'll hear in English. And once you master it, you'll understand so much more of natural conversation.
So what exactly is gotta? Well, it's the reduced form of got to or got. In fast speech, the T sound almost disappears and it becomes this smooth G sound. Got to becomes gotta. See how the T blends into the next sound?
Let me give you some examples. I gotta go. This means I have to go or I need to go. You gotta try this. This means you have to try this or you should try this. It's incredibly common in everyday English.
And here's where it gets interesting. Gotta can mean two different things depending on context. It can mean have to or have got to, meaning something is necessary, or it can mean got meaning you have something. Let me give you an example of each.
Wait, can you break that down a bit more? I'm not sure I fully understand.
Of course. So, I gotta study tonight means I have to study tonight. It's a necessity. But I got a sister who lives in London means I have a sister who lives in London. It's about possession. The context tells you which one it is.
Oh, that's so helpful. And the pronunciation is exactly the same, right? It's just gotta in both cases.
Exactly. That's why it can be confusing at first. But don't worry. With practice, you'll start to recognize the difference from context. And that's true for most of these reductions, actually.
You know, remember when I was learning English, I used to hear gotta all the time and think it was a completely new word. I couldn't find it in my dictionary, but now I realized it was right there in front of me all the time.
That's such a common experience, Anna, and that's exactly why we're doing this episode. These reductions are hiding in plain sight, and once you know what to look for, everything changes.
So let me give you a few more examples. I gotta be honest. This means I have to be honest, or I should be honest. We gotta make a decision. This means we have to make a decision. You gotta believe me. This means you have to believe me.
And here's another one. I gotta admit. This is super common in American English. It means I have to admit or I must admit. You'll hear this in casual conversations all the time.
The key is to listen for that "guh" sound in the middle of words. When you hear gonna or gotta, it's your brain's clue that something has been reduced. And once you recognize it, understanding becomes so much easier.
And remember, this isn't about learning new vocabulary. It's about recognizing patterns you already know in a new form. You're not learning something completely foreign, you're just seeing the same words in their natural spoken form.
So keep listening, keep practicing, and don't get discouraged. This takes time, but you're definitely getting there.
All right, now let's talk about another super common reduction, outta. This one is super useful and you'll hear it constantly in everyday English.
So what is outta exactly? Is it similar to gotta?
Great question. Outta is the reduced form of out of. The T and F sounds blend together and it becomes outta. It's pronounced kind of like ow na, but with that quick T sound in the middle.
Let me think of some examples. Get out of here. This is super common. It means get out of here. I gotta get out of here. This combines both reductions. It means I have to get out of here.
That's a perfect example, and you can see how these reductions can stack on top of each other. Native speakers do this constantly, and that's why understanding them is so crucial.
What are some other examples of "utta" in everyday conversation?
Okay, here's a good one. I can't get out of this. This means I can't get out of this, like when you're stuck in a situation. Let's get out of here. This means let's leave or let's go. This is incredibly common.
And what about out of my head, out of control, or out of nowhere? Are those all out of reductions too?
Absolutely. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Out of control. Out of control. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. All of these are outta in natural speech. You'll hear these phrases constantly.
You know, I think "outta" is one of those reductions that even intermediate learners sometimes struggle with because it sounds so different from the original "out of."
That's so true. And I think the key is to stop thinking of them as two separate words. In fast speech, out of becomes one smooth sound, outta. It's not out, then of, it's one blended word.
Here's a tip for practicing. When you hear "outta," Try to mentally expand it back to out of. This will help you build the connection between the reduced form and the original words.
And here's another important point. Sometimes outta isn't exactly out of. It can also be out to. Like, he's got to be out of his mind. This could be out of his mind. But context will always tell you what the original words were.
That's a great point about context, and that's why we always say that learning these reductions isn't just about memorization, it's about developing your ear and learning to understand context.
Exactly. And don't worry if it feels overwhelming at first. Even native English speakers sometimes use these reductions without thinking about them. They're automatic. They're part of how we speak.
So, keep practicing, keep listening, and trust that your brain is learning even when it doesn't feel like it. These things take time.
Now, before we move on, I want to talk about some other common reductions that you'll encounter. Gotta and outta are just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, what else should we know about? I feel like once you start noticing these reductions, you hear them everywhere.
That's exactly what happens, and it's such an exciting moment when you start recognizing these patterns. Let me tell you about some other ones.
Please do. I'm always looking to learn more of these tricks.
Okay, let's start with wanna. This is want to or want a. For example, I wanna go means I want to go. I want a cake means I want a cake. The NT blends into N and the T disappears.
That's so true, and wanna is incredibly common. You hear it in songs, movies, everywhere. I want to dance, I want to be, I want to hold you.
Right, and then there's gonna. This is going to. I'm gonna go means I'm going to go. It's gonna rain means it's going to rain. This is probably the most famous reduction in English.
Everyone knows gonna, right? Even people who don't study English have heard gonna before. It's become almost iconic.
Exactly. And here's another one. Kinda. This is kind of. I'm kinda tired means I'm kind of tired. It's kinda weird means it's kind of weird. The D sound blends in.
And sorta is similar. It's sort of. I kinda want to go, but I'm sorta tired. See how they combine?
Perfect. And here's another one. Dunna. This is don't know. I dunna know means I don't know. This is a bit more casual and informal, but you'll hear it all the time.
You know, I love how natural these reductions sound. When someone uses them, it actually makes them sound more fluent, not less. It's interesting how that works.
That's such a great observation, Anna, and that's something important for learners to understand. These reductions don't make you sound less educated or less professional. They make you sound more natural. They're part of what makes English sound like English.
That's so true. I've met learners who try to avoid these reductions because they think they're incorrect. But actually, using them appropriately can make you sound much more natural and fluent.
Now, there's a time and a place for everything. In very formal settings, you might want to use the full forms, but in everyday conversation, these reductions are completely natural and expected.
So here's my advice. Learn to recognize these reductions so you can understand native speakers, and then, as you become more comfortable, start using them in your own speech. You'll be amazed at how much more natural you sound.
And remember, this is a journey. You don't have to master everything overnight. Just keep listening, keep practicing, and keep exposing yourself to native English. Your brain will do the rest.
Okay, so we've learned about these reductions. Now, how do we actually practice recognizing them in real life? This is the tricky part, right?
Absolutely, Anna. Learning about these reductions is one thing, but actually understanding them in real-time conversation is another skill entirely. But don't worry, there are lots of ways to practice.
What do you recommend? What worked for you when you were learning?
One of the best things I did was start watching TV shows and movies with subtitles. At first, I used English subtitles, and I'd pause when I heard something I didn't understand. Then I'd read the subtitle and match it to what I heard.
That's a great strategy. So you'd hear the reduced form, but see the full form in the subtitles. That's a perfect way to make the connection.
Exactly. And then, as you get better, you can switch to watching without subtitles. But the initial exposure with subtitles is so helpful for building that mental database.
I also love listening to podcasts and music. With music, you can replay the same line over and over until you hear the reduction clearly. It's like a workout for your ears.
That's a great analogy. And another tip, don't be afraid to ask native speakers to repeat themselves or to slow down. Most people are happy to help when they know you're learning.
That's so important. I think sometimes learners feel embarrassed about asking for clarification, but honestly, native speakers appreciate the effort. We're always happy when someone wants to learn our language properly.
And here's another technique. Try to identify the reductions in your own speech. Record yourself talking in English and then listen back. Can you hear where you're using gonna, wanna, or gotta?
That's such a good exercise. It's one thing to hear it in others, but hearing it in yourself is really powerful. It helps you realize that these reductions are natural and universal.
And finally, practice with a partner if you can. Have conversations with other learners or with native speakers. The more you expose yourself to connected speech, the easier it becomes.
All of these strategies are so helpful. The key is consistency and patience. You're not going to master this overnight, but every little bit of practice helps.
And remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is communication. The more you understand these reductions, the more you'll be able to connect with native speakers, and the more confident you'll feel in real conversations. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that learners make and how to avoid them. This is really important information.
What are the most common mistakes? I want to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong.
Don't worry, Anna. These are common mistakes, but they're easy to fix once you're aware of them. Let me share a few.
Okay, I'm all ears.
First mistake, thinking that these reductions are wrong or lazy. As we've discussed, they're completely natural and part of how English is spoken. If you think they're incorrect, you'll never be able to embrace them.
That makes sense. It's a mindset thing, not just a pronunciation thing.
Second mistake, overusing reductions in formal situations. Remember, there's a time and a place. In a job interview or a formal presentation, you might want to use more complete forms.
Right, so it's about being adaptable. Know your audience and adjust accordingly.
And finally, third mistake, trying to hear every single sound perfectly. This is impossible, even for native speakers sometimes. Don't stress about catching every word. Focus on understanding the overall meaning and the key words.
That's such good advice. I think sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves to understand everything perfectly.
And here's my final tip. Be patient with yourself. Learning to understand connected speech is a skill that takes time to develop. Some days you'll feel like you're making huge progress, and other days it might feel like you're standing still. That's completely normal.
I love that perspective, Jack. It's such a marathon, not a sprint, and every step forward counts, no matter how small it seems.
So let's recap what we've learned today. We talked about connected speech and why it matters. We focused on gotta, got to or gotta, and outta, out of. We learned about other common reductions like gonna, wanna, kinda, and more. And we discussed practical ways to practice recognizing these reductions in real life.
And most importantly, we learned that native English isn't louder or smarter, it's calmer and more rhythmic. Once you embrace that concept, everything becomes easier.
Absolutely. And I really hope today's episode helps you feel more confident when you encounter these reductions in English language media. Knowledge is power.
Now it's time for our vocabulary breakdown. We've selected 15 to 20 key phrases from today's episode that we think are super important for you to know. Let's go through them together.
I'm excited about this list. These are exactly the kinds of phrases that will help learners sound more natural and understand native speakers better.
Number 1, gotta, meaning got to or gotta. Example, I gotta go now.
Number 2, outta, meaning out of. Example, get outta here.
Number 3, gonna, meaning going to. Example, I'm gonna try it.
Number 4, wanna, meaning want to or want a. Example, I wanna dance.
Number 5, kinda, meaning kind of. Example, I'm kinda tired.
Number 6,
Sorta, meaning sort of. Example, it's kinda weird, sorta.
Number 7, dunno, meaning don't know. Example, I don't know what to do.
Number 8, lemme, meaning let me. Example, let me help you.
Number 9, gimme, meaning give me. Example, gimme a minute.
Number 10, coulda, meaning could have. Example, you coulda told me.
Number 11, woulda, meaning would have. Example, I woulda gone.
Number 12, shoulda, meaning should have. Example, you shoulda seen it.
Number 13, mighta, meaning might have. Example, he might have been there.
Number 14, wouldn'ta, meaning wouldn't have. Example, I wouldn't have done that.
Number 15, couldn'ta, meaning couldn't have. Example, I couldn't have done it without you.
Number 16, outta, meaning out to. Example, he's gotta be out of his mind.
These phrases are your secret weapon. Start listening for them in real conversations, and you'll be amazed at how much more you understand.
And remember, these aren't just vocabulary words. They're patterns that will help you decode native English speech. Practice makes perfect.
Now it's time for our reflection questions. We want you to think about what you've learned today and how you can apply it to your English learning journey. Grab a pen and paper if you need to.
These questions are designed to help you reflect on the material and identify areas where you might want to focus more practice. Let's dive in.
Question 1. Can you think of a time when you heard a native speaker use gotta or outta and didn't understand what they meant? How did you eventually figure it out?
Question 2. How do you feel about the idea that native English is calmer and more rhythmic rather than louder or more proper? Has this changed your perspective on connected speech?
Question 3. Which reduction do you find most challenging to recognize in fast speech? Gotta, outta, gonna, wanna, or another one? Why do you think that is?
Question 4. How often do you use reductions like gonna, wanna, or gotta in your own English speech? Do you feel comfortable using them, or do you prefer the full forms?
Question 5. What strategies from today's episode do you plan to use to improve your understanding of connected speech? Will you try watching TV with subtitles, listening to podcasts, or something else?
Question 6. Have you ever felt embarrassed or frustrated when you couldn't understand a native speaker? How did you handle those feelings, and what did you learn from the experience?
Question 7. How do you think understanding connected speech will affect your overall confidence in using English in real-life situations?
Question 8. What other aspects of connected speech would you like to learn about in future episodes? Are there specific reductions or patterns that still confuse you?
Question 9. Do you think you'll start paying more attention to reductions in movies, TV shows, or music now that you know what to listen for? How do you plan to practice?
Question 10. How can you incorporate the concept of rhythm into your own English speaking practice? What difference do you think this might make in how natural you sound?
Take your time with these questions. There's no right or wrong answer. It's all about reflection and personal growth.
And remember, we're always here to support you on your English learning journey. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep growing. Well, we've come to the end of another episode. Today was packed with valuable information about connected speech and those tricky reductions that can confuse so many learners.
I know I learned a lot from this conversation, Jack, and I hope our listeners did too. These are the kinds of insights that can really transform your English learning journey.
You know, I think the most important takeaway from today is that native English isn't something mysterious or unattainable. It's simply a different way of speaking, one that's more connected, more rhythmic, and yes, more calmer than many learners expect.
That's so well said, Jack. And once you understand that, everything becomes less intimidating. You're not trying to learn a completely new language. You're just learning how English sounds in its natural form.
So keep everything we discussed today in mind the next time you're watching a movie, listening to a podcast, or having a conversation with a native speaker. Listen for those reductions, gotta, outta, gonna, wanna, and see how much more you understand.
And don't forget to practice. Use the vocabulary we reviewed, try to recognize the reductions in your own listening, and gradually start incorporating them into your own speech. You'll be amazed at how natural you can sound.
Thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. We really appreciate your time and your commitment to learning English. You're all doing amazing, and we're so proud of the progress you're making.
That's it for today, friends. Remember, every step forward counts. Keep listening, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. We'll see you next time on English Daily Podcast.
Take care, everyone, and happy learning. Bye for now.
Bye. Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.